And the index cards include what are often called the basic 5 or 6 emotions. It depends on who you're talking to, which scientist you're talking to. But these include happiness, surprise, sadness, fear, disgust, anger, contempt. I also include love, and I also include hope. And I asked the students, they each have the same emotion card at the same time. I asked them to express the emotion to the rest of the class. And the task of the rest of the class is to guess which emotion the students are feeling. Okay? So we go through the emotion cards. The students in class guess what emotion the expressors are trying to express. And then afterwards, we go through and come up with a percentage of students who guess the right emotion. And what's interesting about this exercise is how much agreement there is for some of the emotions. So, for example, happiness, surprise, sadness, fear, disgust, anger are often recognized at a very high level, although sometimes surprise and fear are confused with one another, which turns out to be a relatively common finding when people use this method as a real research method. Their percentage of agreement for hope tends to be lower, but their percentage of agreement for love tends to be very high. Now, this method turns out to be related to one that evolved out of Charles Darwin's descriptions of emotions and how they evolved in his seminal book, The Expressions of the Emotions in Man and Animals, published in 1872. Darwin was born in 1809 and died in 1882. And of course, he's famous for publishing The Origin of Species and The Descent of Man. The Descent of Man. Darwin studied emotional expression in a number of ways. One was looking at a set of photographs that were produced by a man named Duchenne de Boulogne by electrically stimulating the facial muscles of a man who had facial anesthesia. That is, he couldn't feel his face. And so Duchenne de Boulogne would take electrodes and stimulate the muscles in his face. And when he did that, he could stimulate the expression of happiness, that is, smiles. He could stimulate frowns. He could stimulate surprise. And he has a whole book of these photographs, and they were very influential to Darwin, and Darwin reproduced some of them in his book. Darwin also used what many think is the very first questionnaire method of studying emotions cross-culturally, to look at the universality of emotions. So we asked missionaries and other people who lived among people in very disparate cultures what emotions people experienced and how they experienced them. And this led to other people then adopting the method that I use in my class, that is, having people guess what's on the mind of people when they're expressing a particular emotion. Darwin concluded from his study of emotions in humans and other animals that emotional expressions are remnants of what he called once serviceable actions that helped our ancestors to survive. So, for example, when a cat is about to attack, it draws its lips back from its teeth and it pulls its ears